What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about Doom: The Dark Ages and talk about what the press has to say about this game. Now, what it seems like was about a 3-hour or so demo that was kind of split across pretty much maybe everything that you're going to be doing in this game, right? You had the Doom moments, right? The ones that we've seen so much of, but you also had the dragon moments. You also had like the mech moments. You had moments of them kind of being able to go off and kind of doing whatever they wanted, whether that was, collectible hunting or finding side bosses, kind of exploring that semi-open world thing that they got going on here. So that seemed to be the actual breakdown. I want to say a couple things that, I found interesting about these sections, what people were saying they found interesting, and we'll go from there. So in terms of just the, minute-to-minute gameplay, definitely seems like that element of taking it a little bit slower, although I did see a little bit of a back and forth on that one. I saw the IGN interview with the directors, and they had talked about that mobility being very much like equal with Doom Eternal, but then I saw videos that said flat out, you do not feel as fast as you do in the other games. This feels absolutely like the slowest yet. So I don't know which one's lying to me, which one's telling the truth, but generally it seems like that this is one where you want to be utilizing the shield, whether it's to block, whether it's to kind of perfect parry, type situations, whether it's to send a projectile back, whether it's to kind of use it as like a lasso type situation, or to stick it in an enemy and stun them to be able to clear out other enemies. The shield is very versatile, and it looks like a ton of fun. It really does. If it's slower than Doom Eternal, than Doom, that's not that much of a bad thing to me. I did see one, I think Juicehead did a video where he talked about, you almost kind of get back into the Doom, mindset of sidestepping, and I do that a lot. I mean, I just played Doom Eternal maybe a month or two ago, played Doom 2016 last year, and I mean that's like your primary thing, right? And Doom Eternal is so much about that movement of jumping and grappling and just going from place to place. So I feel like I might be very similar, where I'm going to want to try to sidestep everything instead of kind of standing your ground and blocking, parrying, all that kind of jazz. So it'll be interesting to see how I kind of respond to it, but I did kind of connect, when he said that. But it looks fantastic. I mean, whether it's, the skin kind of falling off the enemies, or, still it seems like good tactical fun, while also being, okay, you're going to have to use pretty much every element at your disposal, right? Which, playing on the harder difficulties, even playing the earlier Dooms, right? That's obviously very important, is being able to use each weapon precisely, for exactly the reason it's designed. I did see people talk about, the quick swapping of weapons is just not there. You're going to have to basically be picking the weapons that you want to use, in the moment for like a specific situation. So, I mean, the thing with the minute-to-minute kind of gameplay or one of the things that really stood out to me was that semi-open world thing. Now, I didn't see anybody complain about it. I did see Eurogamer, I think, write up something. They did like a preview, and they had talked about how, obviously it was a big deviation. They talked about the dragon part that kind of went on, even though you only played it for about 10 minutes. They really just wanted to get back to the action. So I wonder how that's going to be. I mean, I'll come back to that in a second, but that semi-open world thing, it's gotten bigger and bigger, and you think about the map design of 2016 and Eternal, like there's a lot of room to explore, and when you're going out looking for the collectibles, but this is like semi-open world. This is like freaking massive, and you can definitely go off the beaten path, at least it looks like, right? Find those collectibles, find side bosses, find maybe even side weapons, and I just wonder, I mean, the thing to me, it's only one word. It's pacing, right? How does that affect the pacing of the game, if it even does? Because, look, when you do something like that, I think you rely on a lot of the fundamentals of your game to kind of carry you, because I think it's going to be a little bit more padding, right? It's going to say, okay, here's like a puzzle area, and so you're going to have to use the shield and use some of the jumping kind of mechanics. Okay, here's some like wave-based stuff. So it's going to rely, I think, on the features that are already part of the game, and then you're just kind of expanding or padding it out. I mean, that could work. It could also backfire. That's one thing that kind of stands out as like maybe a concern. Again, I didn't see anybody really talking about it, so maybe it wasn't. I mean, they got to play 3 hours though, right? It may not get old in those 3 hours, but maybe it does later. And then, like I said, I mean, the other kind of 2 parts to it were the dragon, which, like visually watching it, it doesn't look like Lair or anything. Okay, Lair was quite a video game back on the PS3 generation. It does look pretty pretty simplistic. I mean, it does look fun. It does look, a high-octane action. It looks beautiful. By the way, the entire game looks beautiful. But I do wonder, that Eurogamer one did get me thinking, and, it doesn't look too crazy. Any of, like, the shooting the missile launchers, off of a ship and then jumping down into kind of its weak point. So we'll see if that ends up working. The mech fight, that looks really fun. And that, honestly, at the same time, that looks kind of simplistic too, where you're just going around. At some point, you get a very massive gun and you're able to kind of, eviscerate enemies. But besides that, you are just like, kind of knock'em sock'em robots, some of these enemies. So it does look, again, it looks pretty simplistic, but it also looks pretty fun. If the dragon thing is the same way and it's also fun, then it doesn't really matter, right? Overall, the game looks fantastic. It looks phenomenal. This was a game that I was very much thinking could be a Game of the Year contender going into this year. I'm really, really hoping that it is. I saw people talking about the story, that the story's more engaging, and there were even some cutscenes, in the 3 hours that they were able to play, kind of focusing more on the side characters, I believe, than even the Doomslayer, but some really, really cool stuff. So I'm very excited. Nothing like has scared me off. If anything, to be honest with you, if anything, it's pretty much what we already knew, on top of, or I guess added on, a couple questions, again, of like potential concerns maybe when the game comes out, but like we knew this game was going to be more about standing your ground and less about movement, more about blocking, parrying, shooting at the right time, all that kind of jazz, being a bit more heavy, right? That's what it has looked like since day one, so it shouldn't be surprising. And the good news, when these previews come out, is okay, that's like a major gameplay change. You have all these outlets saying, Doom the Dark Ages has changed, but has it changed for the better? And every time it's always been, yeah, you know what, the game's fine. Like, it changed, it had to kind of evolve, or at least it wanted to evolve, and they did it really well. So that is the main thing that I look at when these previews kind of come out, right, is, okay, we can see it visually with our own eyes up until this point. Now people were able to play several hours. Did these big changes do anything, right? Does it keep it refreshing, but it also still feels like a Doom game? And the answer seems to be yes. So that's really all I was looking for, and now we just get to play it eventually very, very soon, right? And I cannot wait. So let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.